And here we are at the final part of the Sonic the Hedgehog playthrough.
Part 5!
5. I thought you were going to say 4 for a minute.
No, 5. What, 4?
In Scrap Brain Zone, this second zone will introduce us to the crazy gravity-defying spinny wheels, which I've loved to hate.
Sonic did it first.
Crazy. Oh, wait, which one did it first?
Sonic did it first,
Compared
not
to
Mario.
Oh, right. Right, Galaxy.
Galaxy.
On the Lost World will be bringing us on that crazy train.
Oh, man. All I gotta say is, Sonic did it first. I mean, especially after... I don't know if anybody else remembers the final Rouge stage. That was definitely some, Galaxy platforming going on right there. And Nintendo was like, you know what? We like that. We'll take that. We'll take that. Thank you. And we'll get the credit for it, too, because, fans love Mario. Everybody loves Mario. I mean, everything with a Mario is like a hotcakes.
And now, with Scrap Brain Act 2, it's going to be throwing everything it can to stop us, including the crushing platform, spinning spike balls, crazy spinny wheels, and my second most annoying enemy behind the bombs in Starlight Zone, and this zone as well, is the Caterkillers, which we've seen them a couple of times before, which have a very odd hitbox. You can't hit their spiky parts. You'll take a hit, in addition to damaging them and finishing them off. But they're have a very tricky hitbox when it comes to hitting the one spot that doesn't damage you, which is their head. It's encouraging that you roll into them by pressing down while you're running, which a lot of people don't get on the first time, and I know I still instinctually jump into them, or jump over them, and I guess...
That time you totally look back and you're like, wait, should I?
I guess call it a couple names before I move on. And then we have Mega Man style disappearing and reappearing blocks.
Oh, I was totally going to point that out. I was going to say, another thing that I see kind of, not necessarily ripped out, but kind of inspired by, right here in the background, specifically right where Sonic was just a few moments ago, those little square boxes with the purpley pulsing things. Anyway, those look very, very similar to the Legend of Zelda's Warp Point, Warp Point in the franchise. Specifically, right now I'm playing A Link Between Worlds, and that's why I want to say, I recognize it, because throughout the game, in the dungeons specifically, I don't think I've ever seen them in the open world parts, but in the dungeons, you see those boxes on the ground. I will say, though, you do catch a lot of spiky balls in the face. Anyways, moving on. But you see a lot of those blue versions of those boxes on the ground that warp you between points, and then you're able to collect fairies or whatever. Fairies.
And now we believe we're so close to Robotnik,
and he sends you to the sewers.
Yeah, he sends me to the sewers to the lovely Scrap Brain Zone Act 3, otherwise known as Act 4 of Labyrinth Zone.
Labyrinth Zone.
I didn't like Labyrinth Zone to begin with. Throwing another Labyrinth Zone at me was just the pits. And honestly, I like to account for it that Robotnik knew that. He's like, oh, you didn't like Labyrinth Zone, huh? Well, this is going to really suck for you. I'm going to throw you right back in it again.
Hey, I heard you guys wanted an Act 4. No, we didn't. Alright, well, here's another act for you.
Robotnik's not a good guy. He's going to give you the worst zone again.
Even though he looks like a really jolly Santa Claus. Like a rejected one. The mall was like hiring Santa Claus, and they were just like, what's your name? Robotnik? No, buddy. We need more jolly.
Oh, and Sonic 1 made you hate Purple Water before Sonic 2 did.
I hated Purple Water before. It was cool.
Chemical Plant Zone. Yeah, Chemical Plant Zone is a problem, but here's Purple Water right here. Very annoying regardless.
Enjoy! You also have to not drown in it.
Do not drown in it. And now we're at the final zone, ready to take on Eggman.
Bus battle!
With this fight, it's a bit odd, very different from his others. He's not in his Eggmobile. He's in these little tiny platforms, about 4 of them. Two of them will show up at the end of every one of these electric ball volleys, and he will randomly show up at the left or the right one. All you need to do is make sure you're in the right spot.
Oh, there's that falling animation again.
There it is. Yeah, classic. If you hold him in between the platform and the actual structure, he'll look like he's about to fall off. This boss wasn't the most annoying one. Was the most annoying one when I first played it. And now because of it, I've stuck to one strategy of hanging out only on the right, because out of all those platforms, there's no safe zone there. He will, if he shows up in those two, then you have nowhere to run. Shows up on the bottom two, there's nowhere to run to on the left or the right. I always stick to the right in the only safe area. But however, that does elongate the fight a little bit, and I do apologize for that because he'll show, at least in this playthrough.
Yeah, there he goes on the left side.
He's going to appear on the left side a lot, and it does not help that he has, I think, I'm not quite sure, the most number of hits that he needs to take him down, which I believe is at about 8.
I mean, we could always go back and recount it, but hey,
Yeah, we're not into that much of editing. But the balls have a slight homing effect to them. They're nothing too dangerous. If you can see very closely, actually, you'll see that there is they're unevenly spaced in between each other. There's always an open area, and you want to stay there. And I always recommend a straight or forward jump just to get to the side that you want to. They do damage you, but they're actually not that much big of a pain. However, I am making the boss look slower paced. It's a thing when you look at when you watch something being done and playing something, because I swear to God, it's much more hectic.
Speaking of hectic, the way that this boss battle is structured, before he's in his little eggmobile or whatever, and in this one, he's running between these different little tubes on 2 specific sides, one underneath you and one above you. I mean, that's got to be a workout for this fat guy.
Very early signs that he's much faster than Sonic, which we'll be seeing many times, especially throughout the Genesis games.
I mean, this guy was just on the bottom one, on the bottom left one, and then he appears on the top left. I don't know about you, but I don't see an elevator other than these crushing pillars, but they don't let you out or anything. They just move, and then look, I guess he stayed in the same one that time, but then he's on the other side again.
And we got him down.
We got that Eggman.
He's faster than us, and
look at him.
Apparently he can still get in his mobile. You can hit him, you can not hit him, doesn't matter. Either way, he goes.
Let him burn. Let him burn.
And with that, we ended the game. We get to see all the funny woodland creatures enjoy themselves. The only thing I have a question for is, what happened to the robots that we didn't break?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Right.
All I gotta say is that looks like one really good barbecue.
And with that over, we're going to be doing this for most of our playthroughs. We're going to be doing a little part at the end where we have over general impressions. So we're going to be starting with Michael here. I'm the bigger Sonic fan, so I want to hear what he has to say when it comes to this game. What do you think?
Alright. So let me set up a scenario for you guys. This is late 1990s, right? My family just had enough money to afford a Sega Genesis. And, with it, we got, I believe it was the first Sonic the Hedgehog bundled up with it. On top of that, we had just enough money to purchase 2 games alongside of them. So, me being the youngest, I had absolutely no say. But my brother at the time was hearing about this huge game that was blowing up, Mortal Kombat. And then on top of that, he was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. So those were the 3 games that we had for the Genesis. Definitely, for nostalgia purposes, of course, top 5, Genesis games in my book. Sonic the Hedgehog-wise, I can't really put a number, like if we were to rank it between 1 and 10, kind of game review style, I can't really put a number on it, just because when it comes to 16 bits, and we're looking at, like, what's your all-time favorite game for, from the 16-bit era, I can't really think of anything from the Genesis, to be honest. A lot of the titles, definitely top 5 to 8, are going to be Super Nintendo titles. Definitely at the top, A Link to the Past. Following that would definitely be the Mario Kart. After that would probably be Star Fox. Oh, screw you guys. I love Star Fox on the Super Nintendo with that FX chip. Everybody can hate and, Star Fox, it looks so bad. But you know what? I loved it.
So back to Sonic.
So
back to Sonic. I'll get this out of the way in case it hasn't been picked up on already. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. It's my favorite video game franchise.
Get out of here.
And as for the first entry, obviously the usual. I'm very glad with what it created. Very, honestly, and the tropes that it set up for the game that continues that makes me love it consistently. The game, in and of itself, with all the other Genesis titles, I believe they flesh out that experience much better. We'll be seeing later in Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and then even more in the 3D titles.
They're definitely a lot prettier.
Definitely prettier, but this game, it lays the foundation on its own, though. With the future titles, it holds up. Its only main problems is it's has pretty bad pacing issues, which we've seen. Green Hill to slow, Starlight, slow, final boss kind of thing. And they'll be fleshing it out with much more elaborate levels and stuff like that. And the game, in and of itself, is definitely worth picking up. If I had to make a recommendation when it comes to Genesis titles, though, I do recommend 2 or 3. 3 is definitely my favorite out of the trilogy, but if you want to do a chronological run-through of this series, you are not going to have a better time with any other Genesis title that I believe than Sonic the Hedgehog.
Really fast, I do want to say something that this game created an absolute phenomenon. I mean, we have, science, everything being influenced by this blue hedgehog. On top of that, things like Sonic Boom, Sonic Festival of Sonic. This summer we're going to Sonic Revolution. I mean, other franchises like Zelda and stuff, they don't really have that kind of endorsement where, you're going to a convention all about this franchise.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching this playthrough. We have many more to come. We got the entire Sonic and a bunch of other franchises, so stick around.
All right, thanks for watching. All 5 parts.
And we'll be seeing you guys later.
Next time. Yeah.
Have fun.